Thanks, Art. Okay. So before I get started, just a quick kind of question. How many of you are familiar with the I-Corps program in general? Okay, so we have quite a few that don't know much about I-Corps. So this is excellent. This is what we hope for. So you've probably, as you've been listening to talks over the last few days, or not few days, I feel like I've been here for a couple days. Over the last, this morning and this afternoon, you've kind of heard some things that NASA doesn't buy a lot of technology in a lot of cases, particularly sometimes under the SBIR program. We typically buy 5 of one item, and I can never remember exactly what it is, but it's like 1 to shake, 1 to bake, 1 to fly, 1 to put on a shelf, and 1 as a backup, okay? And so one of the issues that companies will have is they got to ensure that they have a dual use for their technology. And that what I mean by dual use is that you've got other opportunities to sell that technology or that innovation into a different market. So I-Corps is a way that can actually help you do that. What it does is it helps you identify that potential commercial market and then target it for other commercial opportunities. So one of the other things that will happen is that you'll need to have more seed funding, and I-Corps can actually help you develop those opportunities and understand where the additional seed funding can come from. So some statistics is, less than 5% of VC funding is targeted for startup companies, and more than 80% of VC money, actually I should probably just go to the next slide here. So more than 80% of VC money is for building infrastructure required to grow a business. That's typically the model that we're seeing. So eventually, like I said, you'll need to start soliciting external investment opportunities to figure out how you're going to move forward. So though it's not a complete new startup business process, I-Corps is actual training that can provide some of these things for you to actually help you identify that commercial market, understand your product value proposition, and identify additional customer segments and things that you might want to look for if you're going after SBIR funding. So the purpose of I-Corps, NSF started this program. You heard a little bit about it this morning. And the goal here was initially to help foster innovation of technologies that might be coming out of academic arenas. I-Corps and how we use it is our phase 1 companies can actually go through it. And what we're trying to do here is encourage that innovation and that entrepreneurship and enabling you to commercialize the technology. So as you go through the program, you're going to be doing a lot of you'll do some training where you're actually going to be developing a business model hypothesis, and that's a business model canvas. And then you'll also be testing the hypothesis through a customer development interview process. So you probably heard earlier, you go out and you do 30 to 100 interviews. These are pretty important because if you've got something that you think people need, you got to interview the folks that you think would want it and validate that they're actually going to buy it. So the intended result is that you have a better understanding of your customer base. The value proposition is identified, it's justified or validated for your customer needs, and it also provides a nice outline for your business plan. So how do you move forward? Whereas NASA may not be your only customer, you may be looking for others. So some of the things that you'll do in an I-Corps program is you build this model canvas, which I just mentioned includes your value proposition. Your customer segments, you understand those. You also identify your pain points, which is kind of a critical thing because we see a lot of companies that would go through this program, they didn't know what the pain points were. And after they went through I-Corps, they figured that out, and some of them have actually pivoted. They go in a little different direction than what they first anticipated doing. So it also understand the demand for creation for the innovation, channel development, and revenue and model streams, which is pretty important. You're going to want to know where those are going to be as you move forward. The other couple items that I-Corps really helps with is understanding who your partners will be, understanding that strategy, and then also what resources you're going to need to do that. So what we have here is a little video that comes up next. This is actually from one of our I-Corps companies that went through the training, and they're going to give you a little overview of how it went for them. So.
Hi, my name is Christine Fan Chang. I'm the founder of the Space Research Company. Our team was awarded with the NASA STTR Phase 1 grant last year, and we had the opportunity to participate in the I-Corps program in the summer of 2017. First of all, I want to apologize that I can't be there in person, but I hope to provide some insight about the I-Corps program with a short video. So what is I-Corps? I-Corps is a 7-week intensive program focused on helping your team quickly figure out whether your product is commercializable and marketable. And if it isn't, maybe there are ways you can maybe modify or adapt and change it to make sure it fits a customer's needs. I kind of like to think of the I-Corps program as a kickstart for your customer discovery process. How is it formatted? We were grouped in teams of 3. 2 of us were from the company, and the third person was a mentor that we had specifically chosen as an expert in the space industry to help us navigate the different systems we had to deal with as part of a space company. They were also working closely with us through this process to identify customers or people we might like to interview for this process. The I-Corps program then provides you with this hefty chunk of funding to specifically go out and talk to these customers. There are very few, if any, funds in the world that really allow you to just visit your customers and interview them. This was really important to me because it alleviated a lot of the decision making about how to best use the money. We were literally meant to use this money for the customer discovery process. What's nice is that throughout this journey, the program teaches you to use a very systematic and repeatable process for interviewing your customers and then going back and analyzing how they might fit in this overarching business ecosystem you've looked at. What makes it so intense is that you have to interview 100 customers in 7 weeks. So that's about 15 customers per week. I started interviewing a lot of my friends who are in the space industry, but a lot of people weren't available or they're hard to schedule in for an interview. And so I started having to cold call and email anybody that I could get my hands on. So each week we would have these tag up with the I-Corps mentors where they would just tear apart every assumption in your business model. They would drill into every little detail about what you thought you learned from your interviews and force you to think deeper about what you actually learned. The program is meant to be incredibly intense, but the whole point is to help you ensure that you have a solid business before you spend any more effort talking to investors or going too far down the rabbit hole, developing a technology that won't even have an end user. I strongly believe that because of this program and the connections we made from our interviews and the skills we developed for better identifying customer needs, that's how we ended up securing another NASA grant. So if you would like to learn more about the I-Corps program and my experiences and our team's experiences, Bill Toscano has our contact information, and I'd be happy to follow up with any questions you might have. So thank you for your attention and good luck on your journey.
Okay, so just a couple of real quick parting thoughts. In order to apply for the program, you have to ensure that you check the box when you're submitting your application that you are interested in applying for it. That tells us that you're interested, and then if you receive a Phase 1 award, we'll contact you with additional information on how to actually get that process going. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward.